Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Mohammed Kantawi and I am a university teacher. In today's session we are supposed to speak about writing for university students. In today's session we shall be talking about a paragraph. It's a descriptive paragraph, but describing an item, not a person. Describing an item which is gold. This is the topic of the paragraph. Now what we're supposed to do is to try to give you this paragraph and we try to analyze it in a certain way. And you will have the paragraph here. So first let's read the paragraph. Gold, a precious metal, is prized for two important characteristics. First of all, gold has a lustrous beauty, that is, resistance to corrosion. Therefore, it is suitable for jewelry, coins, and ornamental purposes. Gold never needs to be polished and will remain beautiful forever. For example, a Macedonian coin remains as untarnished today as the day it was minted 23 centuries ago. Another important characteristic of gold is its usefulness to industry and science. For many years, it has been used in hundreds of industrial applications. The most recent use of gold is in astronauts' suits. Astronauts wear gold-plated heat shields for protection outside the spaceship. In conclusion, gold is treasured not only for its beauty, but also for its utility. And so this is a paragraph about gold. The topic, as you can notice, is gold, and the controlling idea is, two characteristics about this topic. And so let's first underline the topic sentence. So what is the topic sentence? Yeah, can you tell? What is the topic sentence? Very good. The topic sentence is at the beginning. You can notice, let's read it again. Gold, comma, a precious metal, comma, and so a precious metal is an appositive phrase, And then you have comma, is prized for two important characteristics. Now you can notice from the beginning of this topic sentence, I am not supposed to speak about gold in general, but I am controlling the topic of gold with two characteristics, and these characteristics are important. And you can notice in the topic sentence that I didn't mention the characteristics by name. I didn't name them. I just said number two important characteristics. And that means in the following sentences, I should find the two characteristics by name. And you can notice for each one of them, I'm going to explain, to give illustrations or explanation about each one of them. And you can see the writer, after the topic sentence, he said, first of all. So he's going to mention the first characteristic. He said, first of all, gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion. Now you can notice from the word lustrous beauty. So the first characteristic is beauty. And he modified the noun beauty with the adjective lustrous beauty. Lustrous. It has some kind of brightness to itself. Then he mentioned the first characteristic and he didn't directly go to mention the second characteristic. No. He mentioned the first characteristic, then he explained it. He gave maybe examples, illustrations, explanation. Then he said, therefore, it is suitable for jewelry, jewels, coins, money, and ornamental purposes. Ornamental purposes, it means gold can be used by women to beautify herself. When a woman goes, for example, for a wedding, she wears gold. So ornamental, it's about beauty. And then he said, gold never needs to be polished and will remain beautiful forever. It doesn't need to be cleansed or cleaned, polished. It will remain beautiful forever. And this is another addition or explanation to the first characteristic. Then he gave an example from history. An example from history. He said, for example, Macedonia in the past, a Macedonian coin remains as untarnished today as the day it was minted 23 centuries ago. And so he gave an example from history. He spoke about a Macedonian coin, which is no doubt gold. Now it is untarnished, as it was in the past, minted. How many years ago? 23 centuries ago. Not years, but centuries ago. Then this is the first one. Then he said another important characteristic of gold is its usefulness to industry and science. And so he mentioned the second characteristic here, which is utility or usefulness. And he didn't mention its usefulness in general. He mentioned its usefulness to industry and science. So two things. And this is the second characteristic. What he should do next is to explain how gold is useful to industry and science. And then he said, for many years, it has been used in hundreds of industrial applications. And so he mentioned the first one. And you can see the coherence here. Because at the beginning he said industry and then science. And when he wanted to explain the second characteristic, he started with industrial applications. Because industry is mentioned first. And then he said the most recent use of gold is in astronauts' suits, clothing or clothes of astronauts, people who go to space. And then he carried on to explain astronauts wear what kind of gold, what kind of shields or clothes. He said gold-plated heat shields for protection outside the spaceship. And then this is the second characteristic. So he mentioned the first one about beauty, the second about utility or usefulness, and he explained each. And then he directly said, in conclusion, to give what you call the concluding sentence, the last sentence, in conclusion, gold is treasured not only for its beauty, but also for its utility. So this is the way the paragraph was formatted or was formed by the writer. Now let's move on to a second point about this paragraph, which is the vocabulary. What kind of vocabulary he used? Let's see. He modified the vocabulary in his paragraph. He said, gold, a precious metal, is prized. You can notice from the word precious, which is something that is expensive, and then the verb prized. And this verb is used in the passive voice because you have got the verb to be before it. And as we can note that we can take the word prized as an adjective. And we take the verb is as a main verb. But in both cases, we're correct. And then he said two important characteristics. And then he used the connector or connective, which is first of all. So I'm going to know that he's speaking about the first characteristic. He said first of all. And then he moved on to give the first idea about beauty. And he mentioned a very appropriate adjective to the word beauty, which is lustrous. Not only for the word beauty, but the beauty of gold. He used a very pertinent, suitable, or appropriate adjective to gold, which is lustrous. Lustrous beauty of gold. And then he used another connective to relate or to express a result. He said, therefore, it is suitable for jewelry, coins, and ornamental purposes. And you can notice from the word ornamental, he is referring back to beauty. Ornaments, ornamental. So it's a suitable word in vocabulary or diction. And then later he would say, gold never needs to be polished and will remain beautiful forever. And this is an addition also to explain the beauty of gold, but it doesn't need to be polished. And then he used the connective, for example, to explain how gold doesn't really require to be polished. He gave an example from history. He said a Macedonian coin remains as untarnished. And you can see the word, tarnished and untarnished. He used the opposite. He used the prefix untarnished, today, as the day it was minted 23 centuries ago. It was minted, it was created or produced. And you see the word, untarnished and minted are very strong words. And they deeply express the idea that he wanted to convey about gold and the fact that it doesn't need to be polished. And then he said, for many years, he used this kind of connector. For many years. And then a comma, it has been used in hundreds of industrial applications. And then by the end, he used the connector or the connective in conclusion to show the concluding sentence. And we can note that the concluding sentence relates directly to the topic sentence, but by name. Look what he said by the end. He said, gold is treasured. And at the beginning, he used the verb prized. In the conclusion, he used the verb treasured. And both can be taken as adjectives. And both, they have nearly the same meaning. So it's about money, it's about expensiveness. He said not only for its beauty, and this is the first characteristic, but also for its utility. And utility is the same meaning as usefulness, the second characteristic. And so the paragraph, you can see, it is coherent in terms of the logical order of sentences and cohesive, because he used the connectives to connect the ideas logically. And another point which is very important is about punctuation. And we said that whenever the idea is complete or finished, we should use a full stop. Look at the first sentence. He said, gold, comma, a precious metal is prized for two important characteristics. Did he mention them? No. So full stop. This is the first idea. And then the second sentence, he would say, first of all, and this is a phrase, you should use a comma. Gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion. The idea is finished, full stop. And then he used another connective, therefore, and then there should be a comma. Therefore, comma, it is suitable for jewelry, coins, and ornamental purposes. The idea is finished, full stop. And then again and again and again. So you use the full stop, you did the comma, and I think that sometimes, even if you didn't study how to use the comma or the full stop, sometimes you can sense them. You can feel that I should use here a comma and here a full stop. So the idea is very simple. When you feel the idea is complete or finished, put a full stop. And that's it. Thank you so much, and goodbye.